I've been kind of working from a standpoint of just letting her eat what she'll take, just in case. I don't know that it's that she's actually gaining puppy weight or that it's just fat from eating too much, but we'll find out today. Her last meal was yesterday afternoon, so hopefully there's not a whole bunch of food in the way like there was last time. Yeah. I did forget to mention that we bred them naturally. It wasn't like, so we have our own sires. So we didn't do like November 27th was the only day. She and Dante got together every day between November 27th and December 4th. So I don't know if that changes dates and stuff, but
you said it was every day?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Any vomiting or diarrhea at all since we last seen Kikyo?
No vomiting, but apparently diarrhea.
Okay. Only from Kikyo, or is it from
so far only from Kikyo. We have 4 others.
Okay.
And then 2 other dogs besides, and honestly the only loose stool I have seen probably within the last 2 or 3 weeks is just what just happened with her.
Okay. And when did it start? 2 or 3 weeks ago?
No. If she had loose stool before today, it might have been like a couple days at most. She hasn't really had that. I will say that the last couple of days with eating, she seems to have looked at the bowl and kind of let out a sigh of, I want to, but I don't know if I can.
Okay.
She seems to, soldier her way through.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's any indication of...
like she's just not interested in eating?
Yeah, maybe she's not eating as much per meal, but so far she hasn't skipped a meal or left anything in the bowl. It's just usually she eats with vigor that makes you think she'll eat the bowl too.
Yeah. And how long has that been going on for her not eating as much?
Past 2-3 days.
Okay.
Thank you, Kikyo.
Morning.
Hello.
All right. Yeah. I'm gonna give you some loving. I know we just kind of tackled you and looked at you in a weird way. So, same thing as last time. She's open.
Okay.
So, I know Brittany was saying that her appetite's been a little bit hit or miss. She's had some loose stool. I'm not seeing any evidence from an ultrasonographic point of view that would say pulse pregnancy, but that's a bit of what I'm hearing. Those hormone shifts can absolutely cause changes in appetite. It can cause their stool to be loose, all these kinds of things. And so that's kind of what I would chalk it up to now. I think that Brittany told me she's up a couple pounds. I want to double check that, because if that's the case, then yeah, I wouldn't get too worried about it currently.
Okay.
There we go. Yeah, she's up 3 pounds since she was in last time. And so with her gaining weight, being relatively bright, I mean, exam-wise, she looks the same as she did last time.
Okay.
I'm at least not super concerned about those couple changes that y'all are reporting.
Okay. And I can say, like, overall, her behavior hasn't changed a whole lot when we're going for walks. She's still wanting to go as much of a walk as everybody else. She just seems to carry a little bit more. I don't know why. I don't know how to explain it, but over time in the walk, and since she's been here, she's been getting a lot smoother in her stride, less of a twist, less of a plod. And she was getting to the point where you kind of, like most of the dogs, once they get to a certain level of conditioning, it seems like you can balance a glass on their back and they can hold it there as they're walking. And here recently she's gotten a little bit more ploddy, and I'm wondering if maybe that's just due to you giving her a lot more when it comes to feeding time, just letting her eat what she eats.
That could be potential, or absolutely hormones as they shift cause relaxation.
Okay.
That's why women going through pregnancy get all kinds of random aches and pains and twinges and stuff.
Okay.
And so it could be that some of her muscles and tendons are actually loosening a little bit if she's having a hormone shift, and that might tighten up again here in another month-ish.
Okay.
And she'll go back to kind of where she was.
Okay. All right. So then the next question would be, is there any reason to be concerned? Is this like a first litter sort of thing that happens? I've been trying to do some research. Some people have mentioned that sometimes they're down, the first pairing doesn't take, but it's not something that's so I'm wondering if it's something that we should be concerned about long term. Is it something that, what are your thoughts on it?
I wouldn't be at this stage. I feel like a fair number of first pairings not take.
Okay.
Everybody's different. That's any species, any kind of reproductive event.
Okay.
I've got some where, and in general, what I would say is the first time for anything, I don't get worried about it.
Okay.
Now, if we try and breed her again and it doesn't take, I'm going to get a little bit more concerned.
Okay.
And we've already talked about some steps we're going to take to try and make sure we have success next time. Certainly, like if we got to a third time and it doesn't take, I would say, yeah, we've got a huge problem at that point.
Okay.
But typically, kind of the path that I would take would be first time, especially first breeding, no big deal.
Okay.
Second time, if everything else kind of stays the same, we stick with the same male, all these things it doesn't take, a bit more concerned. But that just means I would recommend being pretty darn aggressive with the third time. And the third time we would switch out the male in this case, because we can't kind of switch out the female for these.
Yeah.
And if we have a third breeding across two different males with some good testing and it doesn't take, that's when, at that point, I would say kind of either you have to go to a reproductive specialist for additional workup, or we would have to say that there's a problem with her fertility.
Okay.
And since our goal is kind of, or your goal, and kind of I want to support you with that, is breeding the best and setting a good breed standard. If we got to kind of 3 breedings, natural breedings that didn't take, I would say pulling her out of the gene pool is where I would end up.
Okay. And we can do that. And I can say, so just statistically in my experience, I've only ever had one other female that had a natural breeding that didn't take. But it was actually after she had already had a litter. It was maybe her second or third attempt, so she might have had 1 or 2 prior to that. And I don't know if it didn't take or not. Her body seemed to think she was pregnant. But there was one morning when I came outside and it looked like whatever, if she had puppies, they were gone, or hormones changed or whatever. I don't know. And I don't know if she, this was many, many years ago, I don't know if she had them and, maybe discarded them. It was a small litter, or if there was just nothing there to begin with. But aside from that, her daughter had 2 litters, had another female that had 2 litters. She, of course, herself had 1 or 2 litters prior to that. It's just been one of those things that I didn't really see. So I definitely keep an eye out for it, and I'll update like a lot of people that are wondering about that sort of thing. I can be a little bit better of a resource.
Yeah. No, I mean, again, my bottom line across reproductive background, first time mom, not having a breeding take, I wouldn't really think too much of it.
Okay.
And so one other kind of point of clarity too, let me kind of make sure I understand. She was imported from the Netherlands, correct?
She was imported from Romania.
She was Romanian. When did you import her?
She got here August the 14th, I believe.
And when did you try to breed her? I guess December, early December.
It was. Yeah, late November, just after Thanksgiving.
Yeah, so she was here for about 3 months before we bred her.
Mm-hmm.
And so to me, that's kind of in this bit of a weird in-between time frame.
Mm-hmm.
Like if she came in August and then we were late September, early October and we tried to breed her, absolutely I would blame it on the stress of the transition.
Gotcha.
And I think that there still could be some of that 3 months later.
Okay.
Pregnancy is a huge undertaking. And again, small animal, dogs and cats, it's a little bit different. just from a numbers game and from a way they can design studies and things like that.
Okay.
On the large animal reproductive side, we absolutely know that, with cattle, you want to target a rising plane of nutrition. You want to minimize stressors. There's all these things you can do to increase your chances for reproductive success.
Okay.
And in general, you never expect a 100% reproductive rate. The best you're going to get is somewhere in the 80, maybe low 90s if you're really, really lucky and everything is spot on.
Okay.
And so, she went through a stressful trip coming over from Romania. Know that there's going to be some diet changes, there's environmental changes, all of that. Coming here to Texas in August, it was hot as all get out at that time. And at her size, that's going to wear on her a little bit. Even if she's spending the majority of her time inside, it's still a struggle every time you go outside.
Okay.
And so I think that could absolutely be a factor here too, is maybe her body, yes, it's cycled, but it wasn't quite ready to maintain a pregnancy.
Okay.
And kind of bodies can, if they do what they're designed to do, almost no more than we do. And so it's kind of like, you know what, we need to skip this time around.
Okay.
We're not quite ready for this.
Okay.
And so next time, when she's been in this environment for a fair amount of time, she's had all the stability, I think we'll have a lot higher chance for success.
Okay. She seems to be, so her first reported estrus was January of last year.
Okay.
Then I think July, and I think down to the day like 4th and 4th, 5th and 5th on those.
Okay.
And then of course late November, which seems to be a bit early for what the schedule was. I'm wondering if that might be also a sign of that, or if that's just, sometimes it's like a range that they come into estrus in as opposed to a set schedule. He will lick you on the face, just a heads up.
That's totally fine.
Got a really long tongue.
So that's just fine. And yeah, again, there's absolutely no way to scientifically prove it. But if we go with this idea of, maybe she was starting to kind of build this follicular phase, she was getting ready to go into heat, but then there was some kind of stressor or something triggered her, and the cycle started a bit too early, and again, just wasn't quite ready to kind of maintain a pregnancy. I think that you can argue for that. We know that it's a big range. I'm honestly kind of surprised that she cycled January, July, and November, December timeframe, because typically I expect the larger breeds to have a longer interval.
Okay.
Standard in the textbooks is like 4 to 9 months, and I typically expect 6 to 9 months is kind of more the rule.
Okay.
And with my larger breed kids, I expect them to be a lot closer to that 9 months number. And so those cycles are, and again, not that indicates a lot. Some dogs cycle faster than others. Everybody has a little bit different cycle period. But I think that would be another argument as to why maybe this cycle didn't take, is that's a really narrow kind of window with a lot of stress packed into it.
Okay. Yeah, and we have, now that I think about it, probably the first month of both her and Suki was spent adjusting to the idea of being so close to SpaceX. I don't know if that might have had something to do with it, but they have some engines over there when they turn those big guys on. It's something.
Yeah, I'm 20 miles away and we're out of the house.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we are close enough that you can see the smoke coming up the instant they turn it on. It's like at night you can see the fire from their plant or whatever it is over there. So for the most part, it seems like the dogs are adjusting. They get the more time they get, the more they adjust, and I'll try to condition them. So we'll go and do something fun if it's something like that. And I feel like she's come all the way through. Suki's still, sometimes when the rockets go off, she just wanders around like she doesn't know what to do. So I have to go out there.
Yeah, but you know what? If that's her response to being that close to a rocket launch, I'll take that all day, every day. Okay. Versus the ones that are, chewing through a door or trying to dig out through the floor of the house.
Gotcha, yeah.
A little bit of walking around looking lost. That's okay.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
And so far, all you seem to bring me is these gentle giants.
Yeah.
So can't say that I'm too worried.
Yep. So, question then, the female from the next planned breeding, we got her here in early October. So, if she's coming into estrus, say, anytime between now and March or before March, it's probably best to just skip it.
I'm fine trying.
Okay.
So it's, again, for me, it's always this balancing act. And like, I think, so I've got a herd of dairy goats at home, and we're about to hit kidding season here coming up, and I've got like almost 30 goats. And so it can be a little bit hard to give this individualized care of, where's your plain nutrition? Do you need more? Do you need less? And I try and do what I can with it. But, with these dogs, I know that all of that's being done. Every single day, multiple times a day, we're kind of assessing them. We're making sure that they have everything that they need. And so I'm going to kind of default to them if everything else is good. So if our health looks good, our body condition's good, our coat's nice and shiny, we're doing well, we seem fairly comfortable in our environment, I'm fine trying to breed. And if it takes, awesome. If it doesn't take, then, again, it doesn't probably mean a whole lot. This means maybe we weren't ready, it didn't take whatever that time, and circle back again the next heat cycle. Now, I wouldn't say bring somebody right off the plane and try and breed them, a week later. I want them to have a couple months, I think is pretty reasonable to start settling into the environment. And if you feel like they're still having a really hard time adjusting, or if there's some concern, skip it. But if they're, kind of the right age, if they've been doing well, everything looks good, I think you can go for it. And the other thing too, to me, that's always the balance. Like, I got very tired of seeing pets that were being bred at 8, 9, 10 months of age. That's not, in my opinion, kind of acceptable, and they would be bred every single cycle. I think that, especially for these, what I would consider a giant breed, 2 years is really what I'm targeting. So it's cycle somewhere plus or minus a few months around that 2-year number is when I would look at breeding them for the first time. And I would not necessarily do every single cycle. Now, it doesn't have to be like a every other kind of a thing. 2 out of every 3. Figure out how you kind of want to play that around. And I would lean towards, with these giants, taking them out of the breeding pool a little bit sooner. And there's, again, a ton of factors that go into that. How do they handle the pregnancy? How do they handle raising the puppies? How do they look afterwards? I have some dogs, and some of that depends on litter size too. I had one lab, she had 9 puppies, and she was a shell of her former self when she weaned those puppies 6 weeks later, because she had life sucked out of her. And so if you can get through, and if you can support your standard litter size and do really well, maybe we breed them a little bit later. But if it is a struggle, if it's a fight to keep weight on, and it's, they need a recovery period after weaning those puppies, I would quit stressing them out a little bit sooner with that. And I've got a goat that she always has quads, and we've realized that we have to supplement. There's no other way about it. She's one of our best milkers, but she can't keep up with that many. And so I supplement them pretty heavy. The kids do better. She doesn't get as drained from it, and she does fine. But she's also one, because I know how hard it is to carry that type of a pregnancy for a small goat. She'll get pulled out of the breeding program earlier because she's not going to support it when she gets older and has a hard time.
So as a general rule, I can say we do every other estrus. So it balances out to about once a year. And we tend to breed females from the age of 2 to 6. So 6 is when we try to start shooting for that shutout. And recently I've had people say, more along the lines of every estrus, or they'll say you can breed them until 8 and stuff like that. And that was one thing I wanted to chat with you about. But from what I'm hearing, that 2 to 6 is a good general starting point.
I think so. And again, it's that balance on what is your emphasis on. And with these kiddos, I think the emphasis is on their health, their quality of life. And I feel like if we start saying every estrus or 2 to 8, our focus becomes more the dollar signs that they can produce for us. That very much brings me back to like a dairy cow background, where we want them calving on their 2nd birthday. They have to calve every 11 months. And as soon as we start seeing any kind of drop in their production, they're getting pulled out of the breeding program. And so we're trying to maximize production there. Here we're trying to maximize quality of puppy and quality of life. And so slowing down our reproductive cycle just a little bit in the non-breeding every single time does that.
And then another question would be, I have 2 or 3 people that are wanting to get him and Dante for stud. With that being the case, and and hearing how it can stress the female to do more travel. Would it be better for me to go to them? Because they're talking about right now coming to me, and the highest temperatures they recorded last summer was hot for them, was like high 80s up there, the northernmost one, and then mid 90s, the southern, or the closer to the south one. Whereas I'm pretty sure we were 3 digits from like March through August or September or something crazy like that. So if that is a factor, would it be better for me to go to them?
I think that there's a bit better chance of success with that. Now, like Arkansas, I think that I wouldn't be as worried with the female coming down here. With Philadelphia, I think that travel could add some stress and it could decrease the odds of a positive pregnancy.
Okay.
I think the other thing to evaluate too, and again, it's just, I haven't dealt with this part of the field. I think that there's a reproductive practice or two up in the Dallas area, like canine reproduction.
Okay.
And so it might be worth figuring out, is there an option to do like a fresh chilled semen?
Yeah.
And because I think that in some ways is going to be a lot more cost effective than trying to either drive or fly him out there or get her down here.
Yeah.
Like we talked about last time, you're going to have a decrease in reproductive rate and litter size with that. It's a fairly minor trade-off, and so you just kind of have to weigh, well, what makes the most sense with this? But Dallas is kind of such an easy drive from here that if that was a viable option, I'd probably look at that a little bit more relative trying to get him cross-country to breed a girl.
That makes a lot more sense. And actually, one of them I know comes to Dallas with relative frequency. He's got family there, so that might be a pretty good idea. Okay, I'll keep that in mind, and I'll chat with him about that. Okay. Well, yeah. Well, we try to do a lot more exercise in those times to try to get nerves out of it, and just even, especially with it having been her first time, to make sure she didn't freak out, and that went very smoothly. She did very good, very casual actually. But like you said, when December 4th, December 5th was when we stopped, and then when we got them back together around the 7th, 8th night, somewhere in there, she let them know very clearly that she was not interested. So yeah, this is actually the first time she's been around another boy since then. So
I love these kiddos. They're fantastic.
They around the house you forget you have them. They just want to know where you're going, and then they'll do this. But once you get outside and it's go time, they will go. They will absolutely go.
Thank you guys so very much for checking out our channel, for watching our videos. I hope I wasn't too boring. Thank you for following us or watching us. If you do not already follow us, please follow. If you have not liked this video, please like, and please subscribe, and you'll be able to keep up with the next videos we put out about Tosas. We love what we do here. There'll definitely be more videos. And you can learn a bit more about the breed, learn a bit more about us, and hopefully it'll be stuff that you'll find useful. One other thing I would say is that if you can, please share our information. I know a lot of people will say share, but for us it's actually more important. You may not know this, but the Tosa is what we might consider an endangered species here in the US and even in the West. I would say the place that the place that the Tosa is right now is not unlike the place where the pit bull was in the mid 50s throughout the 70s, in that they no longer are used for their original purpose here in the US. Thank God. They are not used for their original purpose. So that kind of leaves a vacuum. The breed's notoriety is going down in that vacuum, but what that opens the door for is for bad actors to get a hold of what remaining specimens there are and use them for, we'll say, nefarious purposes. And when it comes to it, This is a wonderful breed. We just barely got the pit bull to where it's like 50-50 publicity, right? I'd hate for the Tosa to be the next dog everybody hates. So please share as much as you can. Get the information out there about the breed. It took so long for the pit bull to make a comeback, not because of breeding and responsible breeding practice. No, there's always been people that have been breeding pit bulls responsibly. You know, what it took was having people in their corner, advocates, people who could stand up and say, that's not the way pit bulls act in reality. That's a dog that's been abused. That's a dog that's been mistreated. That's a dog that's been mistrained. And that can happen to any breed, you know? And the more that those people get out there, the more you see the pit bull coming out in a better light, you know? Unfortunately, it's still got a long way to go, but that was the change. And the same thing is true for the Tosa. We need people who are going to get out there and say, hey, look, that behavior right there, that's not a Tosa. This, that, the other thing, that's not Tosa behavior. This is an example of an unfortunate set of circumstances that befell an individual dog. It is not what is to be expected of the breed as a whole. So when it comes to it, I think it's super important that you share, even more than liking and subscribing, which would be awesome. But share so that the information gets out there and more people learn the truth about the Tosa. All of it, not just the fighting past, but where they are today and where they're heading. Hopefully, more people will see this, more people will share, and the information will be out there. Again, you don't necessarily have to want to get a Tosa yourself, but learn about the breed. We need more advocates. Hopefully, some people watching this will find that true and become an advocate for this wonderful, amazing breed. Thank you guys so much for your time. We'll let you go and enjoy your life, and let Mr. Dante get on to his kibble for the day.